Hey everybody, I'm Trish Christ. NECAT and our super crew of teenagers are here today at Operation Stand Down, Tennessee. CEO and Colonel retired John Crinson is going to tell us all about the important work they do in our community.
We're so glad you're here. Come on in and let us show you how we serve veterans.
Let's do it. Thank you.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville. We all know how to talk about our organization during meetings, but what about the chance encounter of a lifetime? You never know who may share your next elevator, notice your logo on a notebook or a tote bag, and ask what you do. What's the clearest, most persuasive thing you can say in a short elevator ride?
Operation Stand Down Tennessee connects veterans to our community and with the resources that they've earned. We were founded to help veterans who are in crisis, who had been abandoned and were not able to reconnect society because of that abandonment. But today we have an opportunity to connect veterans to their community in a positive way and prevent another generation of veterans from becoming homeless, because that's not what they fought for. They earned the opportunity to be productive members of society, and we owe them that, and together we can make that happen.
John, I have so many things I want to ask you and I want to hear about, and I know the scope of your work at Operation Stand Down Tennessee is enormous. Let's start with kind of the obvious. What's the purpose of Operation Stand Down Tennessee?
Yeah, great start. So the mission for Operation Stand Down Tennessee is to connect veterans and their families to the community. And many times that starts with connecting them to resources that they need to become contributing members of the community. And for many veterans, even to help in that transition from military life to civilian life and make that a good, smooth transition for them.
That's a big task.
It is, it is. And you know, and veterans fall all along the spectrum in terms of their readiness to come back into the world, if you will. Some veterans come out, or soon to be veterans come out, and they're all set. You know, that they've done a full 20 years, they have a nice retirement, they qualify for a VA home loan. They may have some benefits that they they're not drawing upon that they've earned, and so we can help them with those VA home loans. We can help them get those benefits that they've earned, and once they get that, they're ready to just kind of ease right into society. But we find a lot of veterans on the other end of the spectrum where they're coming back into society. They're not sure what their purpose is. They're not sure what their place is. They've gotten out before retirement. They're not eligible for retirement. You have to do 20 years to be eligible for retirement. Wow. So you can go 10, 8, 15 years, 19. And if you're out, 19 years, and you don't have that to draw from. And so many times it can be quite daunting. You know, I'm back in society. I don't have a retirement to draw from. What do I do next? And many times that's where we come in. Many times we come in a few years after that process when they're at the end of their rope and they haven't figured it out, and they really need that battle buddy, if you will, that wingman to help them make that final connection.
And I bet you would love to be part of the story before someone reaches the end of his rope.
Well,
You'd rather be there right when the veteran returns home. Absolutely,
and that really gets to a transformation that our organization is going through. You know, we were founded actually as a response to homelessness crisis among Vietnam War era veterans. So really we came about to serve those veterans who were already at the end of the rope. They were already under the bridge. They were already in that beat up car at the back of a parking lot. They were already at the mission or at Room in the Inn, and so we were that last opportunity they had to really get back on their feet. But with this new generation of veterans, the post 9/11 era, we now have an opportunity to reach veterans early in their transition, even sometimes before they're getting out, as they're in the process, so they won't have that big drop off the cliff that the Vietnam War era veterans unfortunately experienced in such great numbers. Now we can get them early, to your point, help them early in transition and bypass all that vulnerability, that social, economic vulnerability altogether, and truly make that smooth transition. So now we see ourselves more in a preventive mode of homelessness and not a reactive mode.
Yes. Talk to me about the geographic footprint for Operation Stand Down.
Yes. So we serve veterans primarily in upper Middle Tennessee. So basically it's Davidson County and surrounding counties with our offices in Nashville at 12th and Edge Hill and also in Clarksville, not too far from Fort Campbell. We're in downtown Clarksville on Madison. So.
Roughly how many folks do you serve right now?
Yeah, so last year we just wrapped up 2016 and we served just over 2,000 veterans between both of our locations. So that's quite a big number. It was a pretty good increase over what we saw in 2015, and it somewhat ebbs and flows, you know. But we're reaching out to a broader population. We're not dealing strictly with homeless veterans as we were a number of years ago. So by reaching out to more veterans that are all across that spectrum, we expect to see more and more every year.
And when you say you serve a veteran, I'm assuming that means that's not a one-time chat. That's an ongoing relationship in a variety of realms of life.
Absolutely, typically it is, and that's what we look to do. You know, now maybe a veteran just needs one transaction. They need help with a benefits claim, and we may see them a few times and help that process. And once that claim comes through and they're all set, you know, they may never return. You know, and that's fine as long as their needs are met. But with many veterans, we do have an ongoing relationship with, especially those that are more vulnerable and need more of a hand-holding and battle buddy to get them through processes. But absolutely, a veteran can come and access services at Operation Stand Down throughout their lifetime. There's no charges to the services we offer. That's one of our criteria. Right. If someone wants to charge for a service, then we typically won't take it on through Operation Stand Down. We may let the veterans know, hey, here's this service, but if it's anything being offered through Stand Down, we try to weed out the ones that have charges, and anything that a veteran can receive from our staff or those that we partner with very closely is at no charge to the veteran.
Let's talk about what some of those services are. I know you guys do a wide variety of things.
Okay, so we'll talk about a veteran who is just separating from the military, and this is where, you know, ideally now we're trying to get ourselves inserted early in that process. So let's say this veteran is not down and out. They're ready for a transition, but they're not sure what they're going to do next. So as we know that they are coming to Middle Tennessee or they've already arrived in Upper Middle Tennessee, we can begin to work with them on a couple things. One is on that career path. So we can help investigate, you know, have you used your post 9/11 GI Bill, you know, for education? And if you haven't, or if you're in the middle of that, have you really assessed using it for what you need to use it for? Here's an interesting phenomenon. Many veterans today, as they're getting out, they're not sure what they're going to do.
Sure.
But one of the first things they have access to is that post 9/11 GI Bill.
Which means college.
Which means college, and not just college, but it also pays a subsidy that you can live on. Now, you're not going to live well on it, but you can live well enough. With the idea is that you can go to school full time and not have to work to interfere with your studies. So it's basically like having room and board in addition to your tuition, but it doesn't have to be spent necessarily with the school. So a lot of times a soon-to-be separating service member will say, well, I don't know what I'll do, but I've got this benefit, so I'll do that because I know I can live off of it, and then I can figure out what I'm going to do. Well, they may choose a college or a program of study that they're not particularly interested in. It's just the easy option. Okay. And then they begin to live off that. But then what they realize is, hey, I'm not connecting with this school. I'm not connecting with my peers. I'm not connecting with this program. So much so that, in fact, 54% of veterans are at risk of not continuing with their education into their second year. You know, because they basically are just using it as a bridge. Sure. So we can help them really put some thought in that, because, you know, if they do that for 1 year and it's not what they wanted to do, well, they've lost a year's worth of that benefit. And so when they go to start over, they don't get to go back and start again. That money is gone. And now they'll still have money left, but not enough to get them through the entirety of whatever program they're going to choose next. So we can help a veteran with that aspect. We can also, if they're ready to go straight into employment, we can help them determine a career field that matches what they've done in the military, or if they want to do something completely different, then we can help them figure that out and then connect them to resources in the community. Then we can go all the way from resume writing, so we can take their military experience, help them translate that into something that civilians can understand. We can help them understand the questions they'll get in interviews, know what questions they should ask in interviews, how to translate those acronyms, again, how to tell those stories of what they've done that's relevant to a civilian employer. We can help them learn how to dress for success. We have a thrift store that's a jobs training program, and so if they need to, you know, if they're not used to wearing a coat and tie, and if they've been in the military, they're not, you know, then we can help them get outfitted at a very good reduced rate, and really for veterans with vouchers where they can go and get a nice coat and tie or whatever would be the you know, or the right dress, and they're ready to go interview and look sharp and carry themselves well. And then we have a great network of employers, you know, who are, you know, we get knocks on the door, we get phone calls regularly from employers that want to hire veterans.
That's great. They're
So,
particularly seeking veterans.
Oh, particularly, yeah. So
great.
we've gotten away from where years ago we had to go find those employers. You know, now employers come to us. And so it's really a matter of us being able to provide veterans to these employers that are ready to go to work. And that's a great position to be in.
You also do some computer skills training?
We do. We have a computer lab with a good number of terminals, and so that's at a veteran's availability to the extent they want to use it. We do train veterans. We can teach them how to use the whole Microsoft, you know, Office suite of products.
Great.
We also can teach them how to, you know, properly use LinkedIn and things like that, so they can come in and do their job searches on our computers, and then have access to one of our employment counselors as they need help, you know, uploading resumes or things like that, or even just, again, doing that job search that they want to do, and accessing all the you know, number of job search organizations and sites that are out there.
I would think that computer lab is pretty full.
It stays pretty busy. It does. It does.
Good.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
And you mentioned earlier maybe help with medical benefits or ongoing mental health benefits, physical benefits, should someone need ongoing care.
That's right. That's right. You know, the VA, is a great resource to veterans, but it is stretched, overwhelmed, and it's a bureaucracy like any other bureaucracy, and so it can be often very difficult to navigate. And that's what we find many times with veterans is they've tried to navigate it and became overwhelmed, got frustrated, about to give up, or they haven't done it yet because they're like, hey, I don't want to take this on, and it's going to be too difficult, and I'm just, you know, I've heard too many horror stories, I'm not going to do it. Or sometimes, in many cases, say, you know what, there's somebody who needs it more than I do, so I'm not going to occupy a spot in line when someone else can do that. So, but with our resources, we can really help navigate them through the process. We have staff members and we have partners who understand the VA system and can help a veteran either where they got lost before and gave up, we can get them back on track, or if they haven't started it at all, we can start it right with them the first time and get them through. So we have staffs that will help with a benefits claim, and here's a great partnership we have that we're very excited about. Mayor Barry here in Nashville back in the fall made the decision, and in partnership with the Metro Council, to station to use a military term, to station the Davidson County Veteran Service Officer at Operation Stand Down Tennessee at our Nashville location, where previously she'd been downtown in a very hard to access building, and now she's at Operation Stand Down. We're easy to find, you know, plentiful parking. We have security, but it's not, you know, you can get through it, you know. It's not crazy. It's not like trying to get through the airport or anything like that. So it's very, but the bottom line is it makes her accessible, and so we're very excited to have her on our team.
Tell me a little bit more about present day homelessness of veterans. I think, yes, we do all sort of know that post-Vietnam homelessness was a big problem for veterans.
Yeah.
I think people might think that's not such a big problem anymore. Are we wrong? Are there veterans of recent wars, recent service in great numbers on the streets of Nashville?
There's some good news around that, but it doesn't mean that there's not a problem.
Okay.
So let me start with the good news.
Yes.
You know, so fortunately, veteran homelessness in the United States since 2009 across the country has gone down pretty much by about 40%. So that's fantastic news. Now, some places like Los Angeles and bigger cities is still a big challenge, but by and large, it's gone down about 40%. In Nashville, we're doing very well. We're down to 9-point-some-odd% veteran homelessness, which is still 2 points above the national average, but we're going in the right direction. You know, we like to believe that it's because of efforts like of our organization, working in partnership with the VA and a whole number of other nonprofits that partner with us. So the good news is that number is going down. We may see the number of homeless veterans on the street in Nashville, Davidson County, at any particular time between maybe 120 to 200. And you know, that's people.
Okay.
And that number of veterans that are homeless on the streets or in transitional housing. And so that's better than it was years ago, but that's still 120, 200
people.
too many.
Exactly.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So housing is really where a lot of our roots are as a full-time organization. Operation Stand Down Tennessee became a full-time organization in 1999 when Metro Nashville approached the Operation Stand Down leadership, which at that time were all volunteers doing an annual event for veterans and providing resources. And Metro had 4 transitional houses for homeless veterans to come off the streets, go through this program, and then back into society on a permanent, stable basis. And so the organization that ran those houses at the time was going out of business, as it were. And so Metro was looking for someone to step in and take their place in partnership with the VA. We have now 7 houses with 42 beds, and this is really a core program for us. You know, when we started, we didn't provide any direct services. We were an organization that brought different resources in the community, both public and private, together so that veterans could have easy access to those resources. When we became a full-time organization in '99 with the Transitional Housing Program, then we began providing direct services with housing, then with employment, and then by bringing on our own benefits counselors. But we continue to work with a variety of other partners to make those resources available to veterans, and that's really a part of our core plan for as we go forward, you know, into our future, is not so much to say what else can we do directly, but what other programs are already out there that we need to make sure we're bringing under our tent, because we don't want to be redundant, you know, or create donor confusion for very similar programs. So we work with a great number of programs that we make available to veterans. We have a Healing Waters program that's been around for a good number of years. It's nationwide. So the local Nashville chapter meets at Operation Stand Down a couple of times a month. It's a therapeutic program, helps veterans. Really it's about building camaraderie. So they teach them how to fly fish, which may not sound particularly therapeutic.
No, it is.
But it really
Yes,
is.
it is.
It really is. And so veterans really get into it, and it has had some great impact on veterans' lives and being able to help them to kind of get centered. And being in Music City, we have a great partnership with a program called SOAR, which is Sounds of Acoustic Recovery. And it teaches veterans how to play guitar.
Wow.
And the neat thing about this was a first sergeant, which is a high-ranking non-commissioned officer who was in the 101st Airborne Division up at Fort Campbell. When he retired after his 20 years and began going through his own transition after multiple deployments, he was not finding his place in life. And so just to have something to do, he started teaching himself how to play guitar. And it had an enormous impact on him. It really, really helped him. And he thought, well, and being a good sergeant, he goes, if this is good for me, I've got to make sure this is available to other soldiers.
Nice.
Because that's what a sergeant does, takes care of other soldiers, right?
Nice.
Yeah, so he put together this program, and so veterans that join the program, the first 10 veterans that sign up for any particular class, and they usually last about 8 weeks or so, they'll get a free guitar. But any other veterans after those first 10, if they bring a guitar, they're certainly welcome to join. And so that's another program that's offered at Operation Stand Down these days. We have another group we team up with, Reboot Combat Recovery, which is as it says, it's a combat recovery program for veterans with PTS. It's a good complementary program to whatever they may be doing in the VA, or if the VA is not working for them, or they're not ready to go to the VA yet, they can come through Reboot. They've been a fantastic partner. So we're all the time getting new programs available at Operation Stand Down. Some may kind of wind their course and go a different way, or just stop offering their services. And that's one good thing. If you're a veteran program and you want to reach veterans, then we are a great resource and pipeline to get veterans to people's program. And we love hosting these events at Stand Down. So a lot of great partners that we've been able to team up with.
That's great. Great.
My name is Jennifer McGuire, and I work here at the register and at the thrift store. We sell furniture, we sell clothes, and then we have people that come in with vouchers. They come in with vouchers from Operation Stand Down, and they can pick out usually 3 shirts, 3 pants, a pair of shoes, and an accessory, so they, can have new clothes when they need them. And, every 60 days they can come in and get more clothes. And so it helps a lot of them, because sometimes they don't get new clothes for a long time. The clothes are donated, and all the furniture is donated. We go out and pick them up, and sometimes people come in through the front door and just bring stuff in.
My name is Kevin Quarles. I'm an outreach specialist here at Operation Stand Down. I'm mostly looking for post 9/11 emerging veterans that are just starting to come out after we're winding down Afghanistan and Iraq. Younger veterans tend to isolate themselves. It's harder to reach them than Vietnam veterans. We've been working with them for decades now, and we're actually making some progress, but we're starting to reach a point where we're having another influx of post 9/11 veterans, and it's definitely important to let them know that we care and they're not going to be forgotten. Well, this is the computer resource area. This is where people will come to look up their email, or just because they may not want to go to the library, or they may just need to do something on the computer, and if they don't have their own computer or a home, they need a place like this. It's vital, especially in this day and age where technology is everywhere and you need it to do anything. And great resource. People that are older and want to still get in the workforce, they need to brush up on like computer skills and things that they may not have gotten earlier on in their careers, and that we help them a lot with that. But if a veteran needs to apply for a job, I mean, it's pretty much 90% that online now, and they're going to have to utilize this to get a job. Operation Stand Down is really a welcoming organization. I'm pretty fresh here, and I was welcomed with open arms, and I see people come in here every day, and it's like almost like a home. It's great.
Tell me about the name. Why are you guys called Operation Stand Down?
Yeah, Operation Stand Down. It's a great question. So a stand down is a tactical term, and it was particularly relevant during the Vietnam era. So basically what would happen is you'd have a unit, and they would be out at their fire bases, and they would be on mission, and typically running patrols, usually at night, maybe sometimes in the day, but they would be out at these fire bases for X amount of time. And then after a while, it was time for them to recoup, not necessarily go and get R&R, or rest and recreation, but to just kind of take a pause and then return to the fire bases. Well, that pause was called a stand down. And so they would come off the fire bases and they would stand down, get that pause, get recollected, get re-energized, and then go back out there and re-engage. So when the stand down movement started in the late 80s, which was a movement to bring resources together and then bring veterans together to avail themselves of those resources, usually over a 3-day event, although now they may be 2 days, could be 1 day. But the idea was that we'll bring, and this was targeted to homeless veterans, is we'll bring the veterans off the street, bring them to a stand, let them stand down, and basically recharge, get connected with resources so they could go back out and not necessarily be back down on the streets, but begin to get recharged so they could get reconnected to society. And the great thing about those events was that it did get veterans connected with these resources. But when you only do an event once a year, it truly is more of a hand out than a hand up, which is one of the reasons when our organization had the opportunity to become a full-time organization, my predecessor seized it because he realized if we're really going to help veterans, move along the continuum, then we need to be there with them every day.
When they come looking, you got to be there.
That's right, that's right. And then you got to be there to stay with them. You can't just say, okay, here's your resource, we'll see you next year at the next event. You got to be there along the way to help move them up the ladder. And but that's where that stand down comes from. It's a way to kind of take a pause. It's a strategic pause, get recharged, and then go back and re-engage in society and re-engage in a positive, healthy way to get you up the ladder. Once you cross that threshold into Operation Stand Down, then what we hope that you experience, and what I experienced the first time I went in there, quite frankly, is you have a sense of welcoming. And you feel like, hey, I belong here. This is the right place. And it just kind of, even as I think about it, just, it brings a smile to your face. So you walk in there and, it's kind of like walking into the old orderly room, and or to the CQ. And there you are. You're kind of back in a very familiar environment. You get a big warm welcome from our front desk staff, and we're glad people are there. And it's all about say, hey, we're glad you're here. Thank you for your service, and we're here to be your battle buddy and walk you through whatever it is that you need to get to where we're there with you. And it's a privilege to be able to do that. That's the way we look at it.
That's awesome. If an employer happens to be watching this on television right now, what do? They reach out to Operation Stand Down to say, you know what, I have some roles I need to hire for. Let's talk about how I could do
That's right. That's right. They can reach out and call us, 615-248-1981, and follow the cues for our employment department. or they can go to our website at osdtn.org and just send an inquiry and state in the in the request box, hey, I'm an employer and I want to hire veterans, and then that message will get connected to our employment department and we'll be able to begin the relationship with them right away.
Awesome. Okay, John, I have one last fun segment I want to do with you.
Okay.
It's the speed round.
All right, all right.
Just like the game we played when we were kids, I ask you a question, and literally the first answer that comes to mind, just let it fly, and we'll go on to the next one.
One word, 2 words, or a sentence?
Whatever you feel.
Whatever it is, okay.
Whatever's up in there, just let it roll.
Okay, could be dangerous. All right.
Speed round with John Crenson. True or false? The total number of Americans who served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and the Global War on Terror is more than 37 million people.
I'd say true.
Yeah, you are correct.
Very good. Whew.
Name something that makes you laugh at work.
Oh boy. Something that makes me laugh at work. Some of the regular veterans that we have come in that come and spend time with us in the morning are some pretty funny characters.
That's great.
So that they bring a good smile and a good laugh now and then.
If you could guarantee one thing for every veteran, what would it be?
Immediate connection to resources as soon as they begin to transition.
What emotion do you most want people to associate with Operation Stand Down Tennessee?
Hope.
Nice.
Hope.
And last of all, John, what's your website?
osdtn.org.
Thank you, John.
All right.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.